getting back to this. As regards the international situation of the moment, we are all in danger of misreading it. After the American Civil War, the Franco-German War, and the Victorian Age, existence and progress amongst the white races ran so incredibly calm, secure, peaceful, and carefree that one may search in vain through the centuries for anything analogous. Anyone who has lived through the period or even heard about it from others is always liable to regard it as normal and the wild present as a disturbance of this natural state of affairs, and to wish that things may soon look up again. Now, that will not be the case, and we shall never see that kind of thing again. We do not realize what led up to this in the long run impossible situation. There was the fact that the standing and expanding armies rendered a war so incalculable that no statesman any longer dared to make one. The fact that technical economic development was in a feverish condition, which was bound to come to a speedy end because of its dependence on rapidly vanishing conditions. And finally, the resultant fact that the grave unsolved problems of the time were being pushed more and more into the future, loaded as an unavowed commitment onto the shoulders of the heirs and heirs, so successfully that men ceased to believe in their reality at all, although they were looming out of the future with steadily growing insistence. If few can stand a long war without deterioration of soul, none can stand a long peace. This peace period from 1870 to 1914, the memory of it rendered all white men self-satisfied, covetous, void of understanding, and incapable of bearing misfortune. We see the result in the utopian conceptions and challenges which today form part of every demagogue's program. Challenges to the age, to the state, to parties, and in fact, to everyone else, in complete disregard of the limits of possibility or of duty, doing, and foregoing. This all too long peace over a period of growing excitement is a fearful inheritance. Not a statesman, not a party, hardly even a political thinker is today in a safe enough position to speak the truth. They all lie. They all join in the chorus of the pampered, ignorant crowd who want their tomorrow to be like the good old days. So, only more so, although statesmen and economic leaders at least ought to be alive to the frightful reality. Only look at our leaders of today. Once a month, their cowardly and dishonest optimism announces the upbranch of the cycle and prosperity on the strength of a mere flutter on the stock exchange caused by building speculations. The end of unemployment from the moment that 100 men or so are given jobs, and as a climax, the achievement of mutual understanding between the nations. As soon as the League, right, the League of Nations, that swarm of parasitic holiday makers on the Lake of Geneva, has formulated any sort of resolution, and in every conference and every paper, the word crisis is bandied about in connection with any passing disturbance of the peace. And thus we deceive ourselves, blind to the fact that we have here one of those incalculable great catastrophes that are the normal form in which history takes its major turns. For we live in a mighty age. It is the greatest that the Western civilization has ever known or will know. It corresponds to the classical age from Cannae to Actium, to the age illumined by the names of Hannibal, Scipio, and Gracchus, Marius, Sulla, and Caesar. The World War was but the first flash and crash from fateful thundercloud which is passing over the century, and then at the commencement of the Imperium Romanum. So today, the form of the world, right, is being remolded from its foundations, regardless of the desires and intentions of the majority or of the number of victims demanded by every such decision. But who understands this? Who is facing it? Does one of us consider himself lucky to be there to see it? The age is mighty, but all the more diminutive are the people in it. They can no longer bear tragedy, either on the stage or in real life. They crave happy endings of insipid novels, so miserable and weary are they. The destiny which pitched them into these decades now takes them by the collar and does with them what it has to be done, whether they will or no. The coward security of 1900 is at an end. Life in danger, the real life of history, comes once more into its own. Everything has begun to slide, and now only that man counts who can take risks, who has the courage to see and accept things as they are. The age is approaching, nay, is already here, which has no more room for soft hearts and weakly ideals. The primeval barbarism which has lain hidden and bound for centuries in the form rigor of a ripe culture is awake again now that the culture is finished and the civilization has set in. That warlike, healthy joy in one's own strength, which scorns the literature-ridden age of rationalist thought, that unbroken race instinct, which decides a different life from one spent under the weight of books and bookish ideals. In the Western European peasantry, this spirit still abounds, as also on the American prairies and away in the great plains of North Asia, where world conquerors are born. If this is pessimism, then he who feels it to be so must be one who needs the pious falsehood or veil of ideas and utopias to protect and save him from the sight of reality. This, no doubt, is the refuge resorted to by most white men in this century. Oh, white men, white males. But will it be so in the next? Their forefathers in the time of the Great Migration and the Crusades were different. They condemned such an attitude as cowardly. It is from this cowardice in the face of life that Buddhism and its offshoots arose in the Indian culture at the corresponding stage in time. Hey, don't jump on Buddhism. Hey, these cults are now becoming fashionable with us. It is possible that a late religion of the West is in the process of formation, whether under the guise of Christianity or not, none can tell. But at any rate, the religious revival which succeeds rationalism as a world philosophy does hold quite special possibilities of new religions emerging. Well, you can argue that no, don't say it. People with tired, cowardly, senile souls seek refuge from the age in something which, by reason of its miraculous doctrines and customs, is better able to rock them into the sleep of oblivion in the Christian churches. The credo quia absurdum is again upmost, but the profundity of world suffering, a feeling that is old as the brooding over the world itself. Man, this guy is really German, huh? The moan over the absurdity of history and the cruelty of existence rises not from them things themselves, but from morbid reflection on them. It is the annihilating judgment upon the worth and the strength of men's old souls. A profound view of the world need not necessarily be saturated with tears. There is a Nordic world feeling reaching from England to Japan, which is full of joy, just because of the burden of human destiny. One challenges it for the sake of conquering it, and one goes on to proudly should it prove stronger than one's own will. This was the attitude depicted in the old genuine parts of the Mahabharata, which tells of the fight between the Kurus and the Pandus, in Homer, Pindar, and Aeschylus, in the Germanic sagas, and Shakespeare, in certain songs of the Chinese Shu King, and in the world of the samurai. It is the tragic view of life, which is not yet dead, but will blossom anew in the future, just as it blossomed in the World War. All the very great poets of the Nordic cultures have been tragedians. And tragedy, from ballad and epic onward, has been the deepest form of this brave pessimism. The man who is incapable of experiencing or enduring tragedy can never be a figure of world significance. He cannot make history unless he experiences it as it really is. Tragic, permeated by destiny, and in consequence meaningless, aimless, and immoral in the eyes of the worshippers of utility. The marks departing of the ways between the superior and the subordinate ethos of human existence. The individual's life is of importance to none besides himself. The point is whether he wishes to escape from history or give his life for it. History recks nothing of human logic. Thunderstorms, earthquakes, lava streams, these are near relatives of the purposeless, elemental events of world history. Nations may go under, ancient cities of aging cultures burn or sink in ruins, but the earth will continue to revolve calmly round the sun, and the stars to run their courses. Man is a beast of prey. I shall say it again and again. All the would-be moralists and social ethics people who claim or hope to be beyond all that are only beasts of prey with their teeth broken, who hate others on account of the attacks which they themselves are wise enough to avoid. Only look at them. They are too weak to read a book on war, but they herd together in the street to see an accident, letting the blood and the screams play on their nerves. And if even there is too much for them, they enjoy it on film and the illustrated papers. If I call man a beast of prey, well, which do I insult? Man or beast? That's easy. For remember, the larger beasts of prey are noble creatures, perfect of their kind and without the hypocrisy of human moral due to weakness. They shout no more war, but they desire class war. They are indignant when murder is executed for a crime of passion, but they feel a secret pleasure in hearing of the murder of a political opponent. What objection have they ever raised to the Bolshevist slaughters? Yeah. There's no getting away from it. Conflict is the original fact of life, and it's life itself. Yeah, he's right. And that the most pitiful pacifist is able to entirely uproot the pleasure it gives his inmost soul. Theoretically, at least, he would like to fight and destroy all opponents of pacifism. The further we advance into the Caesarism of the Faustian world, that's cool, the more clearly will it emerge who is destined ethically to be the subject and who the object of historical events. The dreary chain of world improvers has now come to an end of its amble through these centuries, leaving behind it as sole monument of its existence mountains of printed paper. The Caesars will now take its place. I wish. High policy, the art of the possible, will again enter upon its eternal heritage, free from all systems and theories, itself the judge of the facts by which it rules, and gripping the world between its knees like a good horseman. This being so, I have only to show here the historical position in which Germany and the world now stand, and how this position is the inevitable outcome of the history of past centuries, and will just as inevitably pass on to certain forms and solutions. That is destiny. We may deny it, but in doing so, we deny ourselves.